Hey, this is DJ Lex, aka DJ Bueller. I'm sitting in the studio with Barry Harris of Concan, as well as a very cool history of production work for really big artists. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, pleasure.
Um, I'll let you introduce yourself, just a quick little introduction, so that it all comes out correctly.
I'm Barry Harris of Concan, which was later Thunderpuss, which did tons of remixes for Whitney and Britney and everybody else. But I don't know how else to introduce myself.
That's great. So I've been a DJ for 30 years, and in the late 90s and 2000s, I was on a subscription service, and every subscription was a Thunderpuss 2000 remix. All the big names. Drop some of those big names.
Drop some of the big names. Oh my God! Just name it. Well, of course, Whitney. We did tons of Whitney Houston. The "It's Not Right, But It's Okay," the big radio hit version.
Mm-hmm.
Then Britney and Donna Summer and Janet Jackson and I don't know. I can't. Celine Dion. I don't know. Name anybody who was gigantically. Christina Aguilera. We did lots of work with her and her producer. I don't
Were
know.
there any with Madonna? Did you do any Madonna
Oh
remixes?
yeah, yes, of course, yes. Madonna, Mary J. Blige, No More Drama.
Yeah.
And
So
Madonna,
that
Don't Tell Me.
for
Yeah.
some reason I did not know that you were part of that production crew, and so when I was doing at least the due diligence research before we
Right.
chatted, that blew my mind. I'm like, oh, okay, that made sense because one of the things I didn't, when you think about the song, for example, when you think about "I Beg Your Pardon."
Mm-hmm.
It's clearly done by a DJ. I mean, there's like samples,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very, we were chatting earlier, kind of bomb the bass, kind of very clubby with samples and kind of scratches, that kind of feel to it.
Yes.
And later in life, I said, oh, clearly a DJ produced that track. That wasn't, that was a DJ based track. So tell us a little about that.
Well, I wear so many different hats. I seem to just confuse people. They don't know, even my own family, my brother, like, I don't know, are you a DJ? Are you an artist? Are you a producer? What? I don't like, I'm all of the above.
Yeah.
And that's even what Concan even was. And I explained in that video that I did about plugging
Plug the video, because I didn't even know about the video. Plug that video right now. And where
I just made it last week and just put it on my DJ Barry Harris on YouTube. You can find on DJ Barry Harris, my YouTube channel is where I've been posting some of the Concan stuff, and another. Yeah, I redid Sinful Wishes. We redid that acoustically just last week.
Cool.
With Kimberly Wetmore on.
Okay, so you're posting new content on YouTube, and what is that again? YouTube.
The DJ Barry Harris on YouTube. And what were we talking about? We were talking about the hidden truths. What was the question again?
Oh, we were talking about how "I Beg Your Pardon" is like a DJ track.
Yeah, because also at the time in Concan, I had intended it to be very different singers and different genres and stuff. That's why things like Harry Houdini, like I said, yes, okay, there's no denying "I Beg Your Pardon" is very New Orderish. Yes, absolutely. I can't deny that. Harry Houdini was very freestyle-y because I also worked at a record store and the independent label at first, it was their label that we put it out. So I was freestyle influenced, I was hip hop influenced, and that's why we got African Bambaata's son, the Zulu Nation at the time, to do Puss in Boots, and then Move to Move is very rock oriented. Like I was a rocker when I was like 15, 16, playing bass. I play piano, play guitar, and songwrite, and DJ, and remix. So like it's all of the above. You mesh them throw all those things into a Concan record, and that's what you got. You got a little bit of everything all thrown into the pot, stirred around, and what do you got? You got like moved to all of those different genres, and I threw a lot of all those things straight into "I Beg Your Pardon." It's almost too many ideas in one song. Mm-hmm. But even then, when I made the 12-inch and stuff, I actually pulled a lot of the ideas back. Remember, there's a DJ friend of mine that said, I played it to him early, says, dude, you got way too many things going on here.
Too many samples. Now, that brings up an interesting point, because the 80s, 90s was kind of the Wild West for sampling and licensing. Did you clear all those samples, or were you flying under the radar?
It's 1988, and no one. It was still a gray area at that point. No one really knew. I did get that, and I discussed that in the video as well. I did get a hold of the publisher. It wasn't an issue. Getting a hold of Sony, bigwigs in Sony, little old me, and the independent label in Canada. I hounded the guy, the lawyer in the Sony. He just wouldn't take my calls. So with that, it kind of flew under the radar because it was. But the point being, when Atlantic was interested, and all these other labels came to the table as well, there was about 5 or 6 different labels once it started blowing up. Then they're the ones that they got all the samples cleared, but they knew I was trying, and so it was more like they begged for forgiveness later. They knew I tried, and so we got all that stuff cleared with Atlantic later on. But when it came out as an independent label that summer, I had no choice. It was either just there's no way you're going to get a little. In 1988, no one really knew sampling what was right. It was still. Yeah. It wasn't even an issue. I still say, I mean, I beg your pardon, I think is one of the first biggest sampled records, period. I mean, we're talking, De La Soul was for the following year, 89 or 90, when that suddenly brought up all that.
That's right. That brought up a lot of legal issues, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone's kind of forgotten about the I beg your pardon sampling issue because there was no drama. Right. Yeah. There wasn't anything to talk about because I got it all fixed before everyone could start freaking out on that one. And suddenly I wasn't a guinea pig or.
Got it. So, yeah, because a few years later, it could have been a real headache trying to get samples cleared because that's when it became in the news, legal issues of all these rappers not clearing samples and all that. So.
Yeah, but I tried from the get-go, and I think everybody knew it. Even the publisher knew it. I'd worked out a deal with him publishing-wise because there's always those two sides, the mechanical and the publishing side. I got the publishing side. He was pretty cool with it. It was hard to explain to people. No one was doing things like interpolations. I didn't know what an interpolation even was when you're putting an older song within a new song. Now it is so commonplace now, especially since 2010 with Christina Aguilera and combining Aha's Take on Me.
Oh yeah. They're just playing these parts, song, right? going. What do we do with it? Yeah. So
so you're creating a new copyright with an old song combined with a new song. I know that now, but at the time I was trying to explain. I've put your song within this new song, and everyone's kind of what? They didn't compute. So.
Yeah, well, it also sounds like you were doing something way before everyone else did. With you kind of have the production, and then you're bringing in kind of all these different people to do, I mean, that's really common nowadays where you've got kind of these producers and they've got 10 different vocalists. Each song is featuring this vocalist and that vocalist. That's commonplace now for these musicians, especially the electronic musicians, that they're not singers themselves, but they get all these collaborators on it. Right. And it sounds like you were trying to do, you're 20 years ahead of the time, doing that with Concan.
Kind of, yes. And that is what I had intended to do. But Atlantic were like, no, we're not going to do that. But now we have to remember too, when you're talking 1988, like I've said, we're being in Toronto, we've got all these UK influences, imports coming in, as you know, especially in the 80s. And we're also getting the US imports as well. So we're getting all these influences from both sides. So I had a very UK, and beg your pardon, in my mind, was very UK-ish. But now you're talking about America, whose land of rock and roll. So I can understand Atlantic's point of view. Like, no, we don't get that. That's not going to fly. We want you to, we want you to be a duo, but we can sell you as a duo.
Right.
But I was like, okay, I'll go with it. Because you're not going to. You're really the best place where I should have probably gone was to the UK or Germany or Belgium or somewhere to be making my record. But alas, it was New York. Atlantic Records that took it over, willing to turn it into, when you've got a big major label like that, willing to hand you the world on a silver platter, and we got all this money and we're going to show you the world. But this is the condition. You're kind of like, well, gee, I don't know. Like, am I going to be that stupid not to? Right? So
you have to. Yeah.
Well, exactly. So okay, I'll go with it. We'll go.
That's. You mentioned Bomb the Bass, and you mentioned another group that was kind of that same genre.
Well, Pump Up the Volume.
Oh yeah, Mars. Yeah. So yeah, and those, and I remember, buying those 12 inches and CD singles when they came out, and they were just so under the radar and not popular. I mean, Mars was popular, but it was like, oh, this must be a UK thing. Like, I remember thinking that, like, people must really like this style of music, but it doesn't fly here, and it doesn't fly with, my crowds, at least. So yeah, you may have, who knows what would have happened if you had to move to the UK, right?
It would have been an entirely different thing.
Yeah.
But hey, the journey is what it is and what it did, and hey, I'm absolutely grateful for what happened to it. Absolutely, forever. Absolutely, it's a part of my soul forever. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think I mentioned that. So I do a Wednesday night video mix show, actually beat mixing music videos, and we play "I Beg Your Pardon" every show. I don't think there's ever been a show that it hasn't been played. And so I just wanted to play just for fun. And I know as artists, when they see their work from, decades ago, sometimes they go, oh my gosh, it's like when you bring up your photos from the 70s and you bring up your yearbook photos, you're going, oh my goodness. But clearly people love it and appreciate it. But if you'll indulge me, let's bring up Concan, I Beg Your Pardon. And let's see here. I'm going to keep the volume down on it. If you want to, just so you can talk over it, I'm going to bring it down really low. If you want to talk about, like you mentioned, the director had a vision for this, for example.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I hate looking at the
You're like, stop him. Like, there, I'll stop it so you can think, or we'll jump ahead.
No, it's okay. I don't mind saying stuff like that. No, I'm good. I'm gonna say Kevin was certainly a pretty boy. I'll give him that. I knew I wasn't. That's why I was behind that.
So you mentioned the director had this vision for the video. What was the director's vision?
Well, what you see really. He brought in. I mean, in 1988 too. Everyone was, especially with the whole new '80s vibe. Everyone was looked at down upon disco. So he's making it just very goofy, and it's okay. I'm not crazy about the whole this crazy guy here. This was because Katie Lang was very Canadian even before she blew up, and I don't know if everybody knows, before she was very like 80s punky type of girl herself. So this was totally framed after, if that's the right word, of Katie Lang in the 80s. Almost like a Katie Lang on acid. I love the fact that she's got the ripped nylons. She makes me laugh just with the rocking horse. I thought that was fun and brilliant.
So the breakdown of the rock freak, that always blew my mind back then. I'm like, who does that?
Yeah, that for sure. That's definitely DJ in me for sure.
Yeah, that's what's like, okay, a DJ got a hold of this and put in some of those things, and that's okay, and it all makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
You're that good-looking guy with the flipped-up hat.
Well, I was 28 myself then at the time, so just nodding, jumping around, not really quite
jamming on your keytar. Is that a keytar? You're
Oh, just faking it at that point.
Yeah, of course. Let's see here. Yeah, it's memory lane, right?
A dancer I am not. No, I would say the highlight of this video to me is the girl in the rocking chair singing the Lynn Anderson part. Mm-hmm. I find that hilarious. And there's a lot of friends and crew that are all being there's a friend, Nicholas. Oh, there he is.
Oh, here, let me get to the group shot here. Okay, you recognize some of these people?
There's a friend, Nicholas is. Oh, there he goes. See the guy right above the pink shirt girl?
Yes, this guy.
Freeze frame. He's the guy that was also working at the record store, and he's the guy that sold the record to Mark Nathan, who took it to Atlantic Records, and they ended up being on Atlantic Records. Well, he was the main sales clerk at the time. He's also actually quite he's quite the little celebrity himself. He's on a Buffalo morning show now. He's living out of Buffalo, and he's on one of the what's the like a Kiss FM radio show in Buffalo and
Okay.
doing shows as well. He was on a YTV show, video show in the 90s as well. So he's quite the you kind of person in his own right.
Great. So what do you do nowadays for fun?
Oh, what am I doing nowadays? Well, I have something actually potentially very, very big about to happen, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm just
Okay, cool. So watch for that.
I took about 2-3 years, as I do in this roller coaster of the music business. I took about 2-3 years, especially with 2020. You know, I was planning on taking like 2020 off anyway. And then COVID happened, and I thought, well, there you go. It's going to happen anyway. So I just laid low in 2020, and then of course 2021, and then this year I've started getting back in doing music again, and I'm diving back into it like big time again. It's like when I've got the bug, the Kraken, the beast has been reawoken in me to start doing music again. And I was doing a lot of, for those 2 years while I was off, I was just doing a lot of old disco mixes because I never did that. I was 18, 19 in the disco days. And the best thing about that stuff, it's so unfortunate that I think it's recovering from the disco backlash for about good 20, 30 years. But what I love about doing that is getting all the original multi-tracks for a lot of these things like Chaka Khan, I'm Every Woman, and to hear the musicianship of the live session players and the string arrangements. They were really, and this real singers and the soul. I was really getting into that aspect. I like doing things that I haven't done before. And that was just very different to dive into these Ashford and Simpson, Ain't No Stompin' Us Now, and to go into that world for a change was so refreshing to me. So I did that for a couple of years, just as fun hobby kind of stuff. But now I got that out of my system, and now it's time to do something new. Here we are, 2023's coming back. I'm ready to get out of the woodwork. I'm back with Kimberly performing. We sang Sinful Wishes together. Posted that up on YouTube. I'm ready to come back out into the world, and look out, world, here I come again.
Very cool. Are you do you do any like DJ sets, like performances? Are you doing that kind of thing, or is it mostly just production projects?
I do know DJ to me is like riding a bike.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that, because I'm always afraid fellow DJs are going to hate me.
No, it's okay. I get it. I DJ'd for 30 years, so I get you go through different phases and feelings about it. I totally get that.
Yeah. No, I can jump on doing DJing in a heartbeat. I find it easy. Like, I mean, especially in this day and age with since there's drum machines, since even when I started DJing in '83, I was 23 myself. So it's just a matter of sinking my teeth into it and diving in the pool on that. But I'm more interested, I guess, in 2023 in exploring. I don't know what 2023 is going to bring. Actually, I'm more. I don't know. We'll see. I'm more interested in doing possibly live stuff in the future and coming back out of the woodwork that way. DJing might be involved in it. I don't know yet. I kind of go where the wind takes me, and I guess we'll just kind of see what happens as we go. Really, does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
I don't know if I just didn't even answer your question at all.
No, it does. It does, because the interesting that I've found as I've watched at least what people consider DJs now, which are they're just music producers, pumping their fists on stage. But and I'm not throwing that under the bus. It's a different kind of performance. Yeah. There's visuals, everything's choreographed. Mm-hmm. And I think it's great. I mean, if it gives producers it gives them the ability to grab the spotlight on stage, right, and sell tickets to a show, even though, they can't sing. I think that's really interesting.
I agree. There's a lot of DJs. I get it when you're talking about what club music used to be. It was a club. It was intimate. It was warm and fuzzy, and it was a meeting of the minds. It's just like going to a concert. You know, you've got a group of who really made me really, I had an aha moment. A few years ago, I saw Sparks when they did the one two hands, one mouth tour, just the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought I was the only person in my entire province that liked Sparks. But suddenly, and I couldn't believe it was actually full and sold out. And I was thinking, who the hell are all these people? I thought there's going to be it's going to be so dead here, right? And it was full, and everybody knew it and got it. And I was like, oh my God, there's a whole bunch of meeting of the minds here of fans of Sparks that have all come together from all over the country, maybe, and have come here. So when you get that whole group of people, of fans, that's when it really realized that, oh, you got everyone's in this group. What am I trying to say? Of like-minded people that love the music, and we're all in the same room together. That's what I'm trying to say. So when you talk about the EDM people, you have the people that had the same kind of thing in club music in the 80s and the 90s, and maybe the OOs too, that were like-minded as well for that type of groove. And then EDM opened that all up into a whole different thing. So all the old school DJs goes, oh, that's bullshit and all that stuff. And, you know, but know what? I agree with you. No, the world changes, it morphs and churns and alters into different ways and different things. And you just kind of have to go with the world as it changes and stuff. Yeah. The way I look at it, we all look at areas like of history and stuff that's all very fond. They're no matter what, you can't escape it. There's still a piece of your soul, and it's great to go back there all the time, but there's all this other stuff happening around meantime too. So those other little chapters of life are I always compared it to, it's always like visiting your parents and opening up the old photo album. We all love doing that. We're all reminiscing. And I love doing that. Absolutely. But I'm not going to move back home and stay there. Yeah. Right. That's why I do with it, if that's the right word.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. Yeah. So before we wrap up, plug all your social media websites, whatever URLs you need to. So facebook.com/
Oh, I've got a few. Oh,
sorry, I probably put you on the spot. So no. How about this? We'll post them. I'll look them up. Sure. So you've got Facebook. Do you have a website? Do you have an active website?
No, I don't have a website.
So mostly Facebook. I'm the same way. Facebook is my new website. So Facebook, YouTube. We'll try and get you on Twitch, because Twitch is what we broadcast on. That's the channel we broadcast on. And that's kind of why I was saying, hey, if you ever do DJ sets, you could do a really cool live broadcast from your studio, or even if it's not a DJ set and it's more of your performance production thing. Right. That's what a lot of people are doing now. So we can talk about Twitch later. All right. So we'll post all your social media, and thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing what you've got coming out in the next year, maybe? Is it by the end of the year or next year? You said you had some big stuff coming out, so.
We'll see.
Oh, you can't even tell me that. Okay, got it.
You'll have to just wait and see at this point.
All right.